Hello, dear friends. This is a 2025 update on automated insulin delivery devices. I have presented this in a conference, and I believe that this will be useful for a wider audience. So we have been using the advanced hybrid closed-loop systems for more than 4 years now in our country, and there are rapid advancements happening in this space. So let me share my slides, and these are my disclosures. I have nothing to disclose pertaining to this lecture. In the recently concluded JPF Global Diabetes Convention in Trivandrum, Libre 2 Plus was officially launched in our country. And this is the most advanced continuous glucose monitoring system in the world. Both Libre 2 Plus and the small-sized Libre 3 Plus, they have a similar MARD, and that translates to a very high accuracy, including in the hyperglycemic range, a MARD of close to 8.2%. And this is Dr. Kesavadev and our group from India launching Libre 2 Plus at the JPF convention on July 12, 2025 at Kovalam in Trivandrum. Why a CGM in an AID lecture? Of course, that is the most significant and that is the most critical component in the making of an automated insulin delivery device. And the same system is now in the US compatible. It is an integrated CGM, and hence it is compatible with multiple other insulin pumps. And these are the popular AIDs, the Omnipod 5, the Tandem, including the Mobi, the beta bionics, the iLet, and the new Twiist. And these are with Libre 3 Plus sensors. So for those of you not familiar with an automated insulin delivery device, there is an insulin pump, and it connects via an algorithm to a continuous glucose sensing device. And when the glucose is high, the insulin will be automatically on the higher side. The infusion rate will increase, and when there is a hyperglycemia or when there is a prediction for a hyperglycemia, then the insulin infusion rates will be automatically lowered, and if required, the insulin will be suspended. And that, in simple terms, describes the automated insulin delivery, and the earlier term used to be artificial pancreas. And what is the current recommendation from the American Diabetes Association? So my lecture is more of an ADA update from Chicago, and we were physically present at the American Diabetes Association convention at Chicago last month. The ADA 2025 standards of recommendation, AID should be the device and the preferred insulin delivery method for everyone diagnosed of type 1 diabetes. And for those with other types of diabetes, and that includes type 2 diabetes, that includes pancreatogenic diabetes, gestation diabetes, diabetes in pregnancy, if in case it is difficult to treat, then AID can be a choice, and this is made on individual circumstances, preference, and needs. And this is a broad landscape of the globally popular devices, of which only the D, that is Minimed 780G, is available in India. And the other devices shown in the picture, it is a Dyna pump from South Korea with CAMP APS algorithm. And then you have the Diabloop, you have the iLet from Beta Bionics. And then you have the most popular patch pump in the world, Omnipod, which is compatible with Dexcom as well as with Libre 2 Plus and 3 Plus, depending upon the country and the availability. And then you have the Tandem T-Slim. And then you have the new family, that is in the family, there is a new kid on the block, and that is the tiny pump, the Tandem Mobi. And I took this picture from the ADA stall. It is the world's smallest durable automated insulin delivery system. It is not a patch pump, but it is very small, and the functionality is similar to a highly expensive patch pump. And now moving on to the stages of automation. And this is originally from JDRF, now renamed. The new nomenclature is Breakthrough T1D. And we are currently commercially in stage 4 of automation, that is the advanced hybrid closed loop, where the basal is automated. And for example, 780G, there is an auto bolusing as well if required, and the algorithm is also well advanced. And in the ongoing lecture today, I'll be discussing on the future of automated insulin delivery devices, and that is second gen stage 5 and the third generation stage 6, that is fully automated, either insulin only or insulin along with other hormone or hormones. How can I forget this picture? How can anybody forget this guy? And on the left, it is an old picture of Damiano with his son David, diagnosed of type 1 diabetes at an extraordinarily young age of 11 months. He was lucky because his mother was a physician. And in 2005, the father, who was an engineer, who is still an engineer, he started experimenting on pigs. And he was exploring the possibilities of a bionic pancreas, a physiologically active pancreas, since the beta cells are completely destroyed for his son. And this is a picture taken years later. And these are the words of his son, David. I know my father's motivation is me, but I know it's more than me. And it's everyone living with type 1 diabetes. And I think it's really great. And I'm proud of my dad. Yes, he should be definitely proud of his dad for the persistency, for his consistency. And in the year 2023, the iLet got cleared by the US FDA. And now it is commercially available, the iLet bionic pancreas. And I had the fortune of meeting him at the same year at ADA in 2023. I congratulated him and I even told him that I used to lecture about you for more than 10 years now. And I could see a small booth at the American Diabetes Association, a beta bionics booth for the first time. And in 2025, and that is when this year, last month, when I visited ADA, it was a much, much bigger stall, the beta bionic stall. And this is more of an emotional component involved in this innovation. It is not from a device manufacturer. It is not from a pharmaceutical company. It is from a father who has discovered a device for his son's suffering of type 1 diabetes. And look at the real world data. Very, very impressive. More than 16,000 users in just 2 years, and with a baseline hemoglobin A1C of 8.9%, now it is down to 7.3%. And this is a device where you need not program for active insulin time or insulin carb ratio. You just need to enter the body weight and it starts working. It is almost a fully automated device. And something new, this is a Twiist system available only in selected markets. It is available in some parts in the United States. That is what I heard. And they are probably soon going to launch in other markets in the world. And this is a very small pump. And they claim that the occlusion rate, so you know that insulin pump can get occluded. And that is not that uncommon. Usually the tethered insulin pumps. And they claim that it can detect the blockades 9 times faster. And the Twiist loop, it began as a DIY, a tight loop, and the personalized glucose management with wide target ranges. In contrast to the available devices and user-friendly, it features food emojis and has specific programs for the absorption timings and so on. And I could hold it. And this is a Twiist system. And you can compare the size of my palm with the size of this device. And this is the preliminary clinical data, a TAR of 70%, level 1 hypo 2.1, and level 2 hypo 0.2%. And no wonder it is FDA cleared, and it will be soon available all over the world. I'm not sure about the cost of the device, but it appears to be very, very user-friendly. Because in the new era of type 1 diabetes and users, they prefer patch pumps and tiny pumps over the conventional tethered insulin pumps. But the limitation with the Twiist system, even though it is a new system, it is only a hybrid closed-loop system. It is not a fully closed-loop system. And meal announcements are still required. For those who are new to the terminology, meal announcement means whenever the person is going to have a meal, they have to calculate the carb and then bolus. So these manual interventions are still required in the Twiist system. So let me move ahead and let me dive deeper into the future. And this is AI-powered closed-loop algorithms. And this will be the future. And these are the algorithms that can adapt in real time to the physiological changes such as stress, infection, exercise, menstruation. And these are the systems which are supposed to function without the user manual meal announcements. And these are AI-driven intelligence systems. So how is it possible? And this is in a nutshell, the description of a digital twin most of you are familiar with. And for the automated insulin delivery, the digital twin is described as a computerized copy of one's own blood glucose and insulin dynamics. And for the creation of a functional, fully closed loop system, the digital twin will support the doctors and the system, train and practice. And this is like rehearsing before putting somebody on a medication or somebody on a device so that you can avoid all the possible adverse events. And you can also optimize the efficacy. And now moving on to ABC, which stands for adaptive behavioral component. And let me describe this. This is a randomized control trial exploring how behavioral and physiological adaptations can improve the outcomes in an existing closed-loop system. In most of these clinical trials, they have considered a tandem control IQ, which is one of the best AID systems currently available. And there are two terminologies here, BAM and ABC. So BAM is Behavioral Adaptation Module, and ABC stands for Adaptive Behavioral Component. And this compares a standard closed-loop control with these two systems. So let me compare this with a self-driving automobile. And BAM can describe a situation where you are advised to sit back, relax, and the automobile will learn the road. So you can trust the automobile and the car will learn the road. And the ABC is adaptive behavioral component, which is one step ahead. It upgrades the car's brain. So it predicts the traffic. It can learn and predict the shortcuts and also the favorite routes automatically. So let me discuss the results. So when you compare with the tandem control IQ, when control IQ is combined with ABC, there is a significant improvement in TAR from 73 to 77, which is significant. A time in tight range, and that is the goal in future, that is between 70 and 140, which is the ideal goal. And that has also increased from 48 to 52%, and with significant improvements in hemoglobin A1C as well. So this is a digital twin simulation, and they have also considered what if scenario testing. So let me now move on to the fully closed loop systems. And this is the discussion, and this is soon going big. This is not the future. This is soon going to be a reality. And I was fortunate to attend this lecture. The challenge and the major roadblock. What is the block now? What is the obstacle to fully closing the loop? Of course, you do have insulin pumps, and they are very well advanced now. For example, the 780G, very well advanced system. The algorithm is also very well advanced when compared to the Omnipod and other systems. The Minimed 780, Minimed is the new terminology. It won't be Medtronic. Earlier, it used to be Minimed years ago when insulin pumps were launched by Medtronic for the first time in 1980s. And now they call it Back to the Future. And now the term will be Minimed 780G. So all these systems are well advanced. The algorithm is much better. The sensor also, because I started with the discussion, Libre 2 plus sensor in India, they are all well advanced. Then where is the challenge? where is the barrier? The barrier is insulin, which is really, really rapid acting. So here, with the currently available insulins, there is always a residual risk of hyperglycemia and a risk of late hypoglycemia. So because of this pharmacokinetics mismatch, the automated delivery devices and the algorithms are struggling to deliver insulin very quickly to prevent post-meal glucose spikes. And this also, maybe it is resulting in late onset hypoglycemia. But of course, we are circumventing these barriers with the help of algorithms, with the help of artificial intelligence. I don't think there will be a really rapid acting insulin coming up very soon in the market. And this is another study, one in 2021 and another in 2023. And these are two systems. One is USS Virginia, and this is USS Virginia's University of Virginia's simulator system. And UMPC in blue color, that is University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. So the difference is, one is USS Virginia is a HCL, is a hybrid closed loop algorithm. And the other one, the blue one, the Pittsburgh algorithm, it is supposed to be a fully automated without meal anticipation module. So when you compare the two, if you look at the TAR metrics, the time below range is almost the same, 2.4, though there is a difference in the time in range. These are experiments which are actually giving us more hope. And when you are involving one more component, and that is BPS, that is bonus priming strategy. So what do you mean by bonus priming strategy? So many of us are actually following this in our practice as well in type 1 diabetes. This is when, with the devices, a small automated bolus of insulin is administered soon as a meal is detected by the system. So with the newer algorithms and with the newer technologies, if the system is detecting a meal, it is able to deliver a tiny bolus. So if you compare the two modalities, no BPS in red and BPS in blue color, when you're administering a bolus as a prime, there is a significant reduction in the post-meal glucose spike. And then if you look at the longer duration of glucose control, over time also it has reached the baseline much faster when compared to no BPS strategy. So this is another one, the fully closed loop at home, the AIDANET fully closed loop system. That is automated insulin delivery, where all these components are incorporated, the bolus priming strategy, the temporary control rate, taking into consideration the physiological alterations, the neural network algorithms based on AI and machine learning, cloud-based monitoring, which also involves remote monitoring for controlling the aggressiveness and preventing the hypoglycemia, adaptive aggressiveness in insulin delivery. And this is the study overview, the fully closed loop at home, a 5-day in-hotel supervised FCL, a 14-day home control period on usual care, and that is hybrid closed loop, and a 7-day at home remote monitored FCL, and then there is a crossover. 36 type 1 diabetes patients and 34 completed this study, and the results are actually very important. So when you compare with usual care, is we know that even when you are using the so-called hybrid closed-loop systems, many a time it is impossible or difficult to reach more than 70%. Of course, it is possible with lot of manual interventions. So it is still very difficult. So in the usual care, it is hardly 57.9 plus or minus 16 time in range, where with the fully closed-loop system, it is 63.6 plus or minus 10.1. So let me now briefly demonstrate the overall daytime compared with overnight. So these are different. Overall and daytime, of course, there are changes, but overnight, it is statistically and clinically very significant. From a TAR in usual care, 64.3 at night, it has gone up to 76% time in range overnight, and that too with acceptable rates of hypoglycemia. So the AIDANET fully closed system has achieved non-inferiority, but it showed a significant improvement in controlling the nighttime glycemia. And this is likely due to the automated adjustments without any user input, that is, without any manual interventions. Of course, the study has got limitations. It is only a preliminary study, and longer term trials are needed to assess the real world performance over many months to many years in the home settings. Another component, and this is from OHSU, that is Oregon Health and Science University, iPancreas. And this was also a topic of discussion. And they have incorporated a Dexcom G6, one of the oldest sensors, insulin, and that is the Omnipod or insulin, and then Polar M600 or the Google Pixel phone, and then a smart app running on Android. So here the difference is there is a MPC controlling that is a model predictive control, a meal detection algorithm, and the hyperglycemia detection with LSTM, that is long short-term memory neural network. So out of all these future systems are incorporating the AI and the ML algorithms. And if you look at the results of Control IQ or Omnipod 5, the 7 days on iPancreas versus 7 days on usual care, with iPancreas, there is a reduced user-initiated bolus by 38%. So 38% less bolusing by the user. And the system is non-inferior to Control IQ. And it could detect meals within 26 minutes on an average, which is also an impressive data. And with 83.3% sensitivity in detecting the meal. So one of the challenges now is automated meal detection and automated bolusing. So all these discussions are actually surrounding these areas where currently we don't have an answer. And this is another presentation at the American Diabetes Association Chicago conference, the 85th year. So ADA has completed 85 years. So ADA is pretty old now. I would call it still very young and active. And this is based on an AI-enabled dual-hormone MPC algorithm. And this is delivering not only insulin, but also pramlintide. And this is using a neural network MDD algorithm. So in short, it is an AI-enabled dual-hormone model predictive control algorithm for automated delivery of both insulin and pramlintide, ensuring more control of post-meal hyperglycemia. So these are the two algorithms. The MDD stands for meal detection and dosing, detecting the carb, triggering the insulin release, and dual hormone MPC core, that is a model predictive control, and that is using a novel PKPD model for, and this is derived from the data in T1D undergoing the meal challenges. And this is a model for pramlintide. And there are 3 strategies for delivering pramlintide. One is a fixed ratio, 6 microgram for every 1 unit of insulin, and a basal constant rate for pramlintide. And the third strategy is independent for pramlintide and insulin delivery. So when you look at the following scenarios, insulin only MPC control, that is the usual one, 64% time in range. So when you're incorporating pramlintide, it is more than 90%. On an average, it is close to 90% time in range, and with a significant low glucose spike after the meal. So that is the advantage of combining pramlintide with insulin. So of course, these are preliminary results, and since it is a dual hormone, it is more complex, number one, and the regulatory requirements will also be more complex. And pramlintide, of course, can cause side effects such as nausea. And the larger scale clinical trials are required for validation. And a couple of slides on adjunct therapies. These have been around for quite some time. They are not approved therapies, but off-label, many of us are using metformin in type 1 diabetes whenever it is indicated. Sometimes gliptins and SGLT inhibitors more widely used, but a word of caution on diabetic ketoacidosis. And this is a study, Adjunct 1 and 2, incorporating liraglutide, one of the very popular GLP-1 receptor agonists, and it has resulted in a significant weight loss. These were individuals with overweight or obesity along with type 1 diabetes. And currently, there is actually a recommendation on how you should be modifying the dose of insulin when you are incorporating a semaglutide or tirzepatide. Of course, these are not approved for use in type 1 diabetes, but whenever there is an indication in the presence of metabolic syndrome or in the presence of overweight or obesity, along with type 1 diabetes in individuals who are on AAD, these are the recommended change in settings. For minimal 780G, you have to weaken the ICR ratio by 0 to 30%. The active insulin time need to be changed from 2 hours. It need to be increased to 3 or 4 hours. And these are all with an objective to reduce the occurrence of hyperglycemia. And for target glucose also, you may have to consider a higher target. Not 100 or 110, it should be 120 at least for minimum 70 And when you are using gliflozins also in type 1 diabetes, there could be 22 to 35% reduction in the total daily dose of insulin. I repeat, these are not recommended to be included in the therapy now, but if you are an expert in the space of type 1 diabetes, of course, it is an off-label indication. So what will be the future? So at the American Diabetes Association and also at the ATTD this year in Europe, the patch pumps are the focus in future. And most of the manufacturers are aiming for a patch pump. Beta Bionic, Tandem, Medtronic, they're developing tubeless patch pumps. And Tandem is already there in the market with a mobi-style tiny device. And this is going to increase the convenience, comfort, because they have to carry this around. And dual monitoring systems are going to be more popular. So Abbott is already having this, and the Freestyle family will soon have commercially available in the same screen, in the same app. At the bottom, not at the bottom, at the top, you have the glucose monitoring, and then you have also alongside the continuous ketone monitoring. And they are soon going to partner with Tandem and other major insulin pump manufacturers to integrate the dual glucose ketone monitoring systems into the future AID platforms. So let me summarize. This is going to be the future. The future will be devices where no meal announcements are required, no bolusing will be required, and more than one hormone will be in place. I don't know about the role of glucagon because some of the meta-analysis have shown that there is not much of a difference in TIR when you're using insulin only combined with insulin and glucagon systems. And adjunct therapies involving semaglutide or involving a GLP-1 or dual agonist or amylin analogs, gliflozins integrated into the AD systems, they may show promise into optimization of control, because treatment of diabetes is more than just control of glucose. We have to avoid the deadly complications in multiple other organs. And more device manufacturers are aligning with the requirements of the patients and their family members. And these are the small pumps, the tubeless pumps, the patch pumps, and the dual sensors, the ketone monitors, which also ensures the safety, not only in type 1 diabetes, but also in a subgroup of people with type 2 diabetes. So let me stop here. The AID systems and the automated insulin delivery systems continue to improve. And thank you very much, my dear friends, for your patient hearing.